A stormtrooper was caught on CCTV robbing a bank. On the 11th of August, Abilene police confirmed that a man entered the Western Bank, located in the 2500 block of Buffalo Gap Road, and carried out a robbery that has since drawn national attention. The incident has become particularly memorable, not only because of the crime itself, but also due to the unusual disguise worn by the suspect. Surveillance footage, released by Abilene Crime Stoppers, shows the individual entering the bank wearing what appears to be a Star Wars clone trooper helmet. The helmet, which fully obscured the suspect's head and neck, created a striking image that has left many in disbelief. Authorities reported that the suspect departed the bank with an undisclosed sum of money. Although no one was physically harmed during the incident, the event left employees and witnesses shaken, particularly because of the brazen and theatrical nature of the disguise. In response to this unusual case, Crime Stoppers has announced a reward of $1,000 for any information that leads to the identification and apprehension of the suspect. They are urging the public to carefully review the surveillance images and to come forward if they recognize any details that could help investigators. Police believe that the disguise was chosen deliberately to obscure identity, and they stress that even the smallest detail could provide the key to solving the case. The use of a pop culture costume in such a serious incident underscores both the boldness of the act and the need for swift justice. For now, Abilene authorities and Crime Stoppers are working closely together, calling on the community to assist in bringing resolution to this unusual and unsettling case. Orcas are wearing salmon as hats, and scientists don't know why. Off the west coast of North America, a group of orcas has baffled scientists by reviving a peculiar and playful trend unseen for nearly 4 decades, wearing salmon on their heads like hats. This unusual behavior, first documented in the late 1980s, has suddenly resurfaced, sparking fresh intrigue among researchers who study these highly intelligent marine mammals. The salmon hat phenomenon was first noted in 1987 when a female orca in Puget Sound was observed balancing a salmon on her head. Within weeks, the strange act spread across other pods, suggesting that the behavior held some form of cultural significance within the orca community. By 1988, however, the trend had faded as quickly as it appeared, leaving scientists with no clear understanding of its purpose. Now, almost 40 years later, the behavior has returned, leaving marine biologists puzzled once again. Recent sightings from photographers and field researchers confirm that multiple orcas have been spotted engaging in this odd ritual. The fish hats are worn with clear intention, yet the reasons remain uncertain. Some scientists speculate the practice could be linked to food storage, as orcas are known to tuck pieces of prey under their pectoral fins for later use. Others suggest it may serve as a form of social display, signaling strength, intelligence, or playfulness to other members of the pod. Still, there is the possibility that the orcas simply enjoy the sensation, much like humpback whales that have been observed draping themselves in seaweed. What makes this revival even more fascinating is its timing. Orcas can live up to 90 years, meaning that some of the individuals participating now may have been alive when the salmon hat fad first appeared. It is possible that the behavior was passed down or rediscovered, highlighting the cultural depth and memory within orca societies. Unlike many species, orcas are capable of developing traditions that spread and fade over time, much like human trends. Marine biologists, though stumped, are committed to studying the practice in more detail. Plans are underway to use drones to document the behavior from above, providing fresh insights into how the hats are worn and whether they serve a functional or symbolic role within orca pods. Deborah Giles, the Science and Research Director at Wild Orca, has stated that the scientific community does not yet have an explanation, but the significance of the behavior cannot be dismissed. The phenomenon underscores the remarkable intelligence and creativity of orcas. Known for their cooperative hunting strategies and complex communication systems, these marine mammals are capable of transmitting behaviors across generations. The salmon hat trend may be whimsical, symbolic, or even spiritual in nature, but it is a testament to the richness of orca culture. Whether it is a revival of an old tradition or simply an act of aquatic play, it reminds us of how little we truly understand about the inner lives of these extraordinary creatures. For now, the mystery remains. Yet each observation brings scientists closer to understanding not only why orcas wear salmon hats, but also the depth of cultural expression in the animal kingdom. The Grand Canyon is missing 1 billion years' worth of rocks. The Grand Canyon, one of the most iconic natural wonders on Earth, has fascinated scientists for generations with its breathtaking cliffs and endless layers of exposed rock. Each stratum represents a different chapter in the planet's deep history, allowing researchers to peer back through time. Yet, amid this geological marvel lies one of science's greatest mysteries. About 1 billion years of rock is missing from the canyon's record. This absence is not a small oversight. It represents nearly a quarter of Earth's entire geological history, a staggering void known as the Great Unconformity. The Great Unconformity is a term given to the enormous gap in the geological timeline, first recognized in the year 1869. It refers to missing layers of rock that should account for 1 billion years of Earth's history, yet are nowhere to be found in the Grand Canyon. The absence is striking. In some parts of the canyon, rocks that are between 1.4 and 1.8 billion years old sit directly beside layers just 520 million years old. This means that roughly 1 billion years passed without leaving behind the usual formations of sedimentary rock, fossils, or other markers of time. It is as though an entire chapter of Earth's biography was torn out, leaving only fragments at either end. For many decades, this phenomenon perplexed scientists. Without visible evidence of what occurred during that billion-year period, the mystery seemed impossible to solve. However, new technology has allowed geologists to approach the problem in innovative ways. A method known as thermochronology has proven especially useful. This process involves analyzing the chemical makeup of rocks to determine how much heat they stored when they were formed, which in turn reveals how much pressure they were under at the time. By studying this data, researchers have been able to piece together a clearer picture of what might have taken place during Earth's missing billion years. Evidence now points to the ancient supercontinent Rodinia as a key factor in the disappearance of these rocks. Around 1 billion years ago, Rodinia began to violently break apart. As tectonic plates shifted, land masses tore away from one another, creating extreme geological disruptions. This violent reshaping of Earth's crust may have caused enormous sections of rock to erode away, leaving little or no evidence behind. The combination of natural erosion and the instability caused by continental breakup could easily explain why the Grand Canyon lacks this crucial record. The implications of this theory are profound. The Grand Canyon already provides insight into Earth's history, stretching back 2 billion years. Yet unlocking the secrets of the missing billion years could reveal more about how continents formed, how ecosystems evolved, and how the planet itself transformed into the world we know today. Scientists believe that continuing to analyze this time period will help fill in critical gaps, allowing us to understand not only Earth's history, but also the processes that shaped the environments necessary for life. The Great Unconformity remains one of geology's most compelling mysteries, but recent research provides hope that its secrets will not remain hidden forever. The violent forces of Rodinia's breakup, combined with relentless erosion, may have erased the physical record of those billion years. Yet the pursuit of answers continues, reminding us that even in the most well-studied landscapes, mysteries remain. The Grand Canyon does not only tell the story of what we see preserved in stone, it also challenges us to imagine the vast stretches of history that vanished into time. Great white sharks have a DNA mystery science still can't explain. Great white sharks have long been admired as one of the ocean's most iconic predators. Their image dominates popular culture, from documentaries and novels to blockbuster films. Yet despite their global fame and the centuries of fascination they have inspired, science is still only scratching the surface of their biological mysteries. Among the most confounding is a riddle hidden in their very genetics, a DNA mystery that continues to puzzle researchers despite decades of investigation. The core of the mystery lies in the differences between two types of DNA inside the shark's cells. Nuclear DNA, which carries the bulk of genetic information, appears remarkably uniform across great white populations worldwide. Mitochondrial DNA, however, which is found in the cell's energy-producing structures, reveals striking variations depending on geography. This contradiction, known to science for over 2 decades, remains unsolved and highlights how much we still do not understand about these powerful creatures. To trace the roots of this genetic puzzle, researchers have had to journey back in time to the closing stages of the last ice age. Roughly 25,000 years ago, glaciers towered a mile high at the poles, locking away much of Earth's water and lowering sea levels by more than 40 meters. For great whites, this created a perilous bottleneck. Vast stretches of shallow seas and coastlines vanished, leaving sharks confined to a small pocket of the Indo-Pacific. Populations dwindled until the species was nearly corralled into a single group, struggling for survival. When the Ice Age came to an end around 10,000 years ago, sea levels rose, coastlines re-emerged, and the sharks spread back into northern waters. By roughly 7,000 years ago, the sharks had separated into distinct populations. Today, researchers recognize three: one in the southern hemisphere around South Africa and Australia, another in the northern Pacific, and a third in the northern Atlantic. Despite their impressive range, their overall numbers remain low, with only about 20,000 individuals estimated to exist globally. But something unusual happened during this recovery. Nuclear DNA among all great white populations remained consistent, reflecting a shared ancestry from that single bottlenecked group. Yet mitochondrial DNA tells a very different story. In South Africa, for instance, the mitochondrial genomes of sharks look strikingly distinct from those of sharks in Australia or the Pacific. This mismatch between nuclear and mitochondrial data cannot easily be explained. The first clue emerged in 2001 when scientists compared DNA samples from sharks in Australia, South Africa, and New Zealand. Nuclear DNA seemed almost identical across all regions, while mitochondrial DNA revealed marked differences. The immediate theory was that female sharks were exhibiting philopatry, returning to the same places to breed year after year. Because mitochondrial DNA is inherited maternally, this behavior would restrict its genetic mixing across populations, creating the observed divergence. Meanwhile, wandering males would ensure that nuclear DNA remained similar between groups. For over 20 years, this explanation seemed plausible, but the more scientists tested it, the less it held up. Recent global surveys of mitochondrial genomes from over 150 sharks confirmed the divergence but found no evidence in the nuclear DNA to support philopatry as the sole cause. While female sharks are indeed known to revisit the same breeding grounds, this behavior alone cannot explain the depth of mitochondrial variation observed today. Other possibilities have been considered. One hypothesis suggested that only a few females in each generation successfully contributed to the gene pool, a reproductive strategy seen in other animals like meerkats. However, data failed to support this as well. Another explanation, genetic drift, was also put forward. In small populations, random mutations can persist and spread quickly, even harmful ones. Yet genetic drift should affect nuclear and mitochondrial DNA equally, not selectively target one type over the other. That left natural selection, a process that could act on mitochondrial DNA specifically, since mitochondria are central to metabolism and energy production. But for selection to create such distinct differences, it would need to be, in the words of head researcher Gavin Naylor, brutally lethal, weeding out certain genetic lines with ruthless efficiency. Given the shark's relatively small global population, this scenario seems highly improbable. And so the mystery deepens. For Naylor and his colleagues, who have spent over a decade collecting DNA samples from sharks across the globe, this puzzle is both frustrating and fascinating. Their analysis has revealed the historical bottleneck of the species during the Ice Age, its remarkable recovery, and the spread into today's oceans. Yet, when it comes to understanding why mitochondrial DNA varies so drastically, while nuclear DNA does not, they must admit that the answer is unknown. This genetic mystery is more than just an academic curiosity. It holds real implications for conservation. With only tens of thousands of great whites alive today, protecting their fragile populations requires a full understanding of their genetic diversity and evolutionary history. If mitochondrial DNA differences point to hidden vulnerabilities or adaptations, conservation strategies must account for them. Without clarity, humanity risks overlooking critical details that could shape the species' future. Great white sharks have survived ice ages, oceanic upheavals, and dramatic shifts in global ecosystems. Their very survival speaks to resilience and adaptability. Yet inside their DNA lies a riddle that refuses to yield to modern science. It reminds us that even the most iconic species, studied and celebrated worldwide, can still harbor profound mysteries. As researchers continue their work, probing deeper into the molecular story of the Great White, one thing remains clear. The ocean is vast, its secrets many, and its greatest predators are more mysterious than we ever imagined. The mystery of Chelsea Grim. On the 24th of September in 2023, Chelsea Grim set out from San Diego, California, on what was meant to be a cross-country road trip. Her destination was Connecticut, where she planned to attend a wedding and reunite with her parents. Originally, Chelsea had intended to fly to the wedding, but when airlines refused to allow her to bring her beloved bearded dragon, known as Roz or Roxy, she chose to make the long journey by car. This decision, seemingly simple at the time, would mark the beginning of a chain of events that remain shrouded in mystery. By the 30th of September, Chelsea was last seen near Ash Fork, Arizona. A woodcutter reported encountering her while she was camping in her car. According to the witness, she did not appear distressed and gave no indication that she was in need of help. That moment became the last confirmed sighting of Chelsea Grim, and from then on, silence fell over her trail. She has not been seen or heard from since, leaving her family and investigators grasping for answers. Chelsea's family, her parents, Stephen and Janet, and her sister Sarah, have fought tirelessly to keep her story alive. Recently, they recorded a 48-minute video with private investigator Justin Yentes and uploaded it to YouTube. The purpose of the video was to counter rumors and misinformation circulating online, as well as to appeal for credible information. At her home in Greenwich, Janet confirmed that the video was a family effort, but declined to provide further comment, explaining only that a team of investigators continues to work on the case. Chelsea Grim was far more than just a name in a missing persons file. She was a woman who had recently earned a master's degree in social work from New York University and had relocated to San Diego to help distressed teenagers. She was also an artist, a photographer, and someone who was deeply empathetic. Her camera, a Canon she cherished and always carried with her, was later found abandoned inside her vehicle. To her loved ones, this was among the most troubling details of all. As Yentes explained, Chelsea would never willingly part with her camera, which had been an extension of her identity as a storyteller and observer of the world. Adding to the mystery, her bearded dragon, Roz, was also missing. This pet was not simply an animal to Chelsea, but a companion she adored, making its disappearance even more concerning. Her sister, Sarah, who lives in the San Francisco area, admitted during the family's video discussion that she and Chelsea had a falling out just weeks before Chelsea disappeared. Their communication had broken down, and Sarah expressed regret over the distance between them. She recalled worrying about some of Chelsea's choices, explaining that her sister had always been open-hearted and open-minded with people, qualities that sometimes made her vulnerable. Private investigator Yentes has stressed that Chelsea displayed signs of paranoia and distress during the early days of her journey, which may have played a role in the strange circumstances leading up to her disappearance. His team has conducted searches not only in Arizona but also in San Diego and even on the East Coast, hoping to trace her steps. As of today, the case of Chelsea Grim remains unresolved. For her family, the unanswered questions grow heavier with time. A young woman full of potential and compassion set out on a journey that should have ended in celebration and reunion, yet it instead became a mystery that continues to haunt those who love her. The unsolved mystery of Frauke Liebs. The disappearance and subsequent events surrounding Frauke Liebs remains one of Germany's most haunting unsolved crimes. What began as an ordinary evening for the 21-year-old student nurse quickly turned into a baffling mystery that has left investigators and the public searching for answers for nearly 2 decades. With eerie phone calls, misleading locations, and a tragic ending, the case of Frauke Liebs is a chilling reminder of how someone can vanish without a trace, only for their fate to be revealed months later under mysterious circumstances. On June 20, 2006, Frauke Liebs was last seen at a pub in Paderborn, where she was watching the FIFA World Cup match between England and Sweden with a friend. That night, she had borrowed a friend's mobile phone battery because her own phone was out of charge. Before leaving the pub at approximately 11 in the evening, she returned the borrowed battery, a small but significant detail that confirmed her phone likely had no remaining power when she left. Since she only had a few euros with her, it is believed that she intended to walk home, as the pub was just 1.5 kilometers away. However, she never made it back. At 12:49, about 2 hours after leaving the pub, her housemate received a text message from her phone. The message was short and vague, stating that she would be home later. This message was puzzling because Frauke should have already arrived home by that time. More disturbing was the fact that police later determined the message had been sent from Nieheim, a small town 35 kilometers northeast of Paderborn, a completely unexpected location that raised more questions than answers. When Frauke failed to return home the next morning and did not show up for work, her mother reported her missing. While missing person cases are not uncommon, what made this case particularly strange were the 5 phone calls Frauke made to her housemate in the days that followed. These calls were all traced to different industrial areas in Paderborn, adding to the confusion. Each time, she reassured that she would come home soon, yet she never revealed her exact whereabouts or why she was unable to return. Her responses remained vague and evasive, offering no clear insight into her situation. The most unsettling phone call came on June 27, 2006, exactly 1 week after she disappeared. This time, Frauke's sister was present during the call and spoke with her. When asked directly whether she was being held captive, Frauke responded with a faint yes, immediately followed by a loud no. This disturbing contradiction was the last communication from Frauke. After that night, there were no more messages, no more calls, and no more clues about her fate. Months later, on October 4, 2006, a hunter discovered Frauke's skeletonized body in a forest near a state road. Her remains were found still dressed in the same clothing she had worn on the night of her disappearance, but her mobile phone, handbag, wallet, and wristwatch were missing. The condition of her remains made it impossible for forensic experts to determine her exact cause of death or when she had died. However, investigators suspected that she had likely been held captive for some time before passing away under unknown circumstances. Despite extensive investigations, police never determined a clear motive for Frauke's case. An analysis suggested that she had been held somewhere near Nieheim, possibly by someone who allowed her to make controlled phone calls as a form of manipulation or misdirection. The calls from industrial areas in Paderborn may have been deliberate diversion tactics to confuse investigators and delay any attempts to track her down. Authorities interviewed and investigated over 900 people connected to Frauke, yet no solid leads emerged. Initially, police identified 5 potential suspects, but each one was eventually cleared due to solid alibis. No one has ever been charged in connection with her disappearance. The lack of forensic evidence, combined with the carefully controlled nature of the phone calls, suggests that the person or people responsible knew how to evade law enforcement. What makes Frauke's case particularly disturbing is the psychological aspect of the phone calls. It is possible that the individual in question forced her to communicate in a way that would not reveal too much, keeping her loved ones hopeful, yet confused. The eerie yes and no exchange with her sister remains one of the most haunting details of the case, as it suggests she may have been trying to convey something under duress. There are many theories about what happened to Frauke during the week she was missing. Some believe that she may have willingly gone with someone she knew, only for the situation to escalate into something dangerous. Others think she was taken by a stranger, possibly someone who had planned to keep her captive. The location of her body, far from where she was last seen, implies that whoever took her knew the area well and may have deliberately chosen an isolated place to dispose of her remains. Despite continued public interest, Frauke's case remains unsolved. True crime enthusiasts and investigators continue to search for new information, hoping that advancements in forensic technology or a witness coming forward may finally shed light on what happened to her. The fact that she was able to make calls yet never provided any helpful details suggests that she may have been in fear for her life and possibly under the control of her captor at all times. Frauke Liebs's case is one of Germany's most baffling unsolved crimes. Her sudden disappearance, the bizarre phone calls, and the eventual discovery of her remains raise more questions than answers. The case is a grim reminder that even in modern times, people can vanish under mysterious circumstances, leaving behind only fragments of clues and unanswered questions. The mystery of Alistair Wilson. The case of Alistair Wilson remains one of Scotland's most baffling unsolved crimes, a case that has puzzled investigators for nearly 2 decades. On November 28, 2004, the 30-year-old banker was shot on the doorstep of his home in Nairn, Scotland, in what appeared to be a targeted attack. The circumstances surrounding the case were highly unusual, with an apparent lack of clear motive and a set of puzzling details that have led many to call it Scotland's most mysterious unsolved crime. Despite numerous investigations, appeals for information, and renewed efforts by Police Scotland, the case remains open, and Alistair Wilson's assassin has never been brought to justice. At around 7 on the evening of his expiration, Alistair Wilson was at home with his wife, Veronica Wilson, and their 2 young children. Their peaceful evening was interrupted by the doorbell ringing, and when Veronica answered the door, she found an unidentified man standing outside. The man was described as wearing a dark blue jacket, dark jeans, and a baseball cap. He asked for Alistair Wilson by name, prompting Veronica to call her husband to the door. When Wilson went to speak to the man, he was handed a small empty blue envelope with the name Paul written on it. Confused by this strange interaction, Wilson went back inside to speak to his wife. Moments later, he returned to the door to confront the man again, and almost immediately, 3 gunshots rang out. Veronica rushed to the door and found her husband collapsed, mortally wounded. He was rushed to the hospital, but passed away later that evening. From the very beginning, the case was highly unusual. The idea that someone would show up at Wilson's house, hand him a blue envelope, and then execute him moments later was deeply perplexing. There was no known reason why the banker would be targeted in such a way. He was a respected professional, a devoted family man, and had no known connections to criminal activity. The empty envelope only deepened the mystery, as it provided no clues about the individual's intent. Was it meant to intimidate Wilson, or was it a coded message? The police were left with very little to work with. In the years following Wilson's case, investigators launched one of the largest inquiries in Scotland's history. Despite extensive efforts, no clear suspects emerged, and the case went cold. For years, there was little movement, and Wilson's family was left without answers. However, in 2020, a new lead emerged when Wilson's son, Andrew, publicly appealed for information about his father's case. This led to a major revelation. The police finally disclosed the type of firearm used in the case. The weapon was a 1930s Hainel pocket pistol, an old and uncommon firearm. Investigators hoped that by revealing this information, someone with knowledge of the gun's history might come forward, helping them identify the shooter. Then, in April 2022, Police Scotland made another breakthrough when they suggested that a local planning dispute involving Wilson may have been the motive behind his case. At the time of his death, Wilson had been involved in a disagreement over a hotel decking area located opposite his home. Investigators speculated that angry customers or builders involved in the construction of the decking may have been responsible for what took place. However, despite this new angle, no arrests were made, and the case remained unsolved. In 2023, investigators took yet another step forward when they announced that they believed 2 people were involved in the case. They stated that one of the individuals was a local man with a history of drug-related offences, suggesting that Wilson's passing may have been linked to something more than just a planning dispute. Yet, despite this new development, authorities have not named the suspect publicly, and no one has been charged. The lack of a definitive motive and the strange sequence of events have left many speculating about what truly happened to Alistair Wilson. One of the most perplexing aspects of the case is the blue envelope. Why would they hand Wilson a seemingly meaningless document before shooting him? Was it a distraction meant to catch Wilson off guard? Or was it part of a larger message, one that only Wilson or the intended recipients would understand? These unanswered questions continue to haunt the case. There is also the issue of the weapon. A Hainel pocket pistol from the 1930s is not the type of gun that would be commonly used in a modern-day execution. It is an antique firearm, difficult to trace, and unlikely to be in the hands of an ordinary criminal. This raises the possibility that they were either an older individual or someone with access to rare weapons. Investigators had hoped that by publicizing details of the gun, they could identify where it had come from. but so far, no one has provided the key piece of information needed to solve the case. Despite the multiple investigations, new leads, and continued media attention, Alistair Wilson's case remains one of the most confounding unsolved crimes in Scotland's history. The case has all the elements of a mystery novel: a random visitor, a cryptic blue envelope, an untraceable gun, and no clear motive. Yet, the real-life tragedy of Wilson's case is something his family continues to live with every day. His wife and children have been left without answers, and justice has yet to be served. Even nearly 2 decades later, the mystery surrounding Wilson's death remains as puzzling as ever. The mystery of Conrad Haas. Conrad Haas, an early visionary in rocketry, remains one of the most intriguing and lesser-known figures in the history of science and engineering. Though largely overlooked for centuries, his pioneering ideas on multi-stage rocketry, stabilizing fins, and liquid fuel propulsion place him among the greatest minds in early rocketry. His work, discovered in 1963 by Romanian engineer Doru Todoriciu, sheds light on concepts that would not become mainstream in rocketry until centuries later. The manuscript found in the National Archive of Sibiu, Romania, also known as the Hermannstadt manuscript, is now recognized as one of the most important early records of rocketry. Little is known about Conrad Haas's personal life, but historical records suggest that he was born in Dornbach, near Vienna, and served as an artillery guard and commissioned officer at the Imperial Court of Vienna. His expertise in artillery and ballistics likely contributed to his fascination with rocketry. In 1551, Haas travelled to Transylvania with imperial troops, and he later became the chief of the artillery camp of the Arsenal of Hermannstadt. It was during his time in Hermannstadt, modern-day Sibiu, Romania, that he wrote his groundbreaking manuscript, spanning 1529 to 1569, which detailed some of the earliest known theories on multi-stage rocketry. The Hermannstadt manuscript was initially thought to be a simple treatise on artillery and ballistics, but Todoriciu's analysis revealed something far more remarkable. Within the third part of the manuscript, Haas describes rockets with multiple stages, stabilizing fins, and the use of liquid fuel, concepts that would later become essential for modern rocketry. His work demonstrates an understanding of propulsion mechanics and flight stabilization at a time when most of Europe was still relying on rudimentary gunpowder weaponry. One of the most extraordinary aspects of Haas's manuscript is his detailed explanation of multi-stage rocketry. He proposed the idea of stacking smaller rockets on top of one another, with each stage igniting in sequence as the lower stages were exhausted. This principle is a fundamental concept in modern space travel, allowing rockets to shed weight as they ascend, making spaceflight more efficient and sustainable. The fact that Haas was writing about multi-stage rockets in the 16th century, long before the modern space age, demonstrates his extraordinary foresight. Additionally, Haas's work depicts rockets with stabilizing fins, a feature that greatly enhances aerodynamic stability and control. His designs show an understanding of how fins could help rockets maintain a steady trajectory, preventing them from spinning erratically or losing control mid-flight. This concept, too, was centuries ahead of its time, as stabilizing fins would later become a standard feature in modern missiles and space rockets. Perhaps even more astonishing is Haas's mention of liquid fuel in rocketry. During his time, gunpowder was the primary source of propulsion, and the idea of using liquid propellants was unheard of. His manuscript suggests that he understood the potential advantages of liquid fuel, which would later become the key to modern rocket propulsion systems. This idea predates the work of Robert H. Goddard, Konstantin Tsiolkovsky, and other 20th century pioneers, who are often credited with pioneering liquid-fueled rockets. His work remained hidden in archives for centuries, preventing it from influencing the course of rocketry in later centuries. Had his ideas been widely known and pursued, it is possible that the history of space exploration could have unfolded much earlier than it did. While Haas's manuscript largely focuses on the technical aspects of rocketry, it also reflects his philosophical perspective on war and technology. Unlike many military engineers of his time, Haas expressed a desire for peace and envisioned rockets as instruments that could be used for advancement rather than destruction. In one passage, he wrote about his hope that humanity would use his inventions for peaceful purposes rather than war, a sentiment that remains highly relevant even in modern times. The Hermannstadt manuscript serves as an important historical artifact, bridging the gap between medieval warfare and modern aerospace technology. The rediscovery of Haas's work in 1963 provides evidence that the foundations of modern rocketry were laid much earlier than previously believed. His concepts of multi-stage rockets, stabilizing fins and liquid fuel propulsion anticipated developments that would not be realized until the 20th century, making him one of the most underappreciated pioneers in the field. Despite his remarkable contributions, Konrad Haas remains a relatively obscure figure in the history of science. The mysterious Maury Island incident. This is a story for those who are drawn to the mysteries of cover-ups and hidden truths. A controversial incident, the FBI determined to uncover what really happened, and witnesses who saw something they were never meant to see. What was so shocking was that mysterious figures intervened, going to great lengths to silence the truth. Was it a government secret, an unknown phenomenon, or something beyond human understanding? As the investigation unfolds, the lines between fact and deception blur, leaving behind a chilling question. What happens when those in power will do anything to keep the truth buried? The Maury Island incident remains one of the most perplexing and controversial UFO cases in American history. Taking place in 1947 near Maury Island in Puget Sound, Washington, the event involved mysterious flying objects, falling debris, and even the untimely deaths of military personnel, making it a case that has intrigued researchers for decades. Despite the official conclusion that it was a hoax, many believe that what happened that day was deliberately covered up and that those involved may have faced serious consequences for speaking out. On June 21, 1947, Harold Dahl, a man working as a harbour patrolman, was on a boat off the coast of Maury Island with his son, dog, and 2 crewmen. What was supposed to be a routine patrol quickly turned into a terrifying experience. In later interviews, Dahl described seeing 6 large, disc-shaped objects flying above his boat. The objects were silent, gliding across the sky at an altitude just above the water, and appeared to be operating in formation. As Dahl and his crew watched in awe, something shocking happened. One of the discs suddenly exploded, sending a strange metallic substance raining down from the sky. Large chunks of debris struck the boat, causing chaos among those on board. The metallic fragments severely burned Dahl's son, Christopher, and tragically took their dog's life. Fear and confusion took hold of the crew as they struggled to understand what they had just witnessed. Realizing the danger, the group acted on instinct. Steve Edmiston, a filmmaker who later made a short film about the incident, noted that the crew was so terrified that they immediately drove their 50-foot boat straight onto the nearest beach and took cover among the cliffs. The fact that these men, all accustomed to working on the water, would act in such a desperate and panicked manner suggests that whatever they witnessed was beyond anything they had ever seen before. Following the incident, Dahl was approached by a mysterious man dressed in black. The man, whom Dahl initially assumed to be a government official, made it clear that Dahl should never speak of what he had seen. His tone was threatening, and his message was clear: stay silent or face serious consequences. This encounter is now considered by some to be one of the earliest recorded instances of a man in black encounter, a phenomenon where unknown government or private operatives allegedly intimidate UFO witnesses. Despite the warning, Dahl chose to report the incident to his superior officer, Fred Chrisman. Chrisman, intrigued by the story, decided to investigate the area himself. Upon traveling to Maury Island, he claimed to have found pieces of debris still scattered around the site, confirming Dahl's account. What's more, Chrisman later claimed that while he was at the location, he too saw a UFO in the sky, adding more weight to Dahl's testimony. The case took an even more interesting turn when it caught the attention of Kenneth Arnold, a well-known pilot who had himself witnessed UFOs in Washington just days earlier. Arnold believed that Dahl and Chrisman's accounts could be linked to his own sightings, so he decided to launch his own investigation. Arnold first contacted E.J. Smith, a commercial airline pilot who had also reported seeing unidentified flying objects in the region. However, Smith's testimony did not provide new insights, leaving Arnold at a dead end. He then reached out to Lieutenant Frank Brown, a military intelligence officer based in California, for further assistance. Brown, accompanied by Captain William Davidson, traveled to Washington to interview Dahl and Chrisman. During their visit, they collected samples of the debris that was still on the beach. The material was analyzed and initially dismissed as ordinary aluminum, casting doubt on the authenticity of the claims. However, things took a bizarre and tragic turn shortly afterward. On August 1, 1947, while Brown and Davidson were returning to California, their military transport plane mysteriously crashed near Kelso, Washington. Both men lost their lives in the crash, making them the first U.S. military personnel to lose their lives in connection with a UFO investigation. The circumstances surrounding the crash remain murky, and many believe that the two officers knew too much about the Maury Island incident. The sudden deaths of Brown and Davidson attracted the attention of the FBI, which launched an official investigation into the matter. The investigation, however, was conducted behind closed doors, and its findings were never fully disclosed to the public. Officially, the FBI concluded that Dahl and Chrisman had fabricated their story, dismissing the entire incident as a hoax. Despite this conclusion, many researchers have remained skeptical. Why would two experienced military officers risk their careers to investigate a hoax? Why did their plane suddenly crash after gathering debris from the site? These unanswered questions have led many to believe that there was more to the story than the government admitted. Adding to the mystery, those close to Dahl claimed that whenever government officials questioned him, he would suddenly retract his story, insisting that it had all been a fabrication. Some believe that this was a forced recantation, as Dahl may have feared for his safety or the safety of his family. Others argue that Dahl simply wanted to distance himself from the controversy after realizing the level of scrutiny that had been placed on him. In the years that followed, the Maury Island incident faded into relative obscurity, overshadowed by other famous UFO events such as Roswell. However, many ufologists and historians continue to revisit the case, believing that it represents one of the earliest UFO cover-ups in American history. The unusual debris, the intimidating man in black, the tragic deaths of two military officers, and the FBI's secretive handling of the case all suggest that something extraordinary may have happened that day in Maury Island. Whether Dahl and Chrisman truly witnessed an extraterrestrial event or stumbled upon a secret government experiment, the truth remains elusive. What is certain, however, is that the Maury Island incident remains one of the most mysterious UFO cases on record, a story filled with secrecy, danger, and unanswered questions that continue to fascinate researchers to this day. Zhang Heng's earthquake device. Zhang Heng, a brilliant scientist, mathematician, engineer, and astronomer of the Han Dynasty, made one of the most remarkable contributions to seismology more than 2,000 years ago. During his lifetime, China faced a major challenge when it came to earthquake detection and disaster response. Earthquakes would strike in remote regions, devastating communities, but due to the lack of rapid communication, the emperor would often not learn about these disasters until it was too late to send effective aid. Recognizing this urgent problem, Zhang Heng devised a revolutionary instrument that could detect distant earthquakes and indicate the direction from which the seismic waves had originated. His invention, known as the seismoscope, is considered one of the most extraordinary scientific achievements of the ancient world. Zhang Heng's seismoscope was an ingenious device designed to sense the smallest vibrations caused by distant earthquakes. Unlike modern seismometers, which rely on complex electronics and digital data, his device used a mechanical system to determine the direction of an earthquake's origin. The seismoscope was shaped like a large bronze vessel, standing about 6 feet tall, resembling an oversized wine jar. Inside this vessel, a suspended pendulum acted as a sensitive detector of ground motion. The external surface of the seismoscope was adorned with 8 dragon heads, each positioned to represent a different cardinal and intercardinal direction. Below each dragon was a bronze toad, waiting with its mouth open. The mechanism worked in a fascinating manner. When an earthquake occurred, the ground motion would cause the pendulum inside the vessel to shift, activating a release mechanism that triggered the corresponding dragon head in the direction of the seismic wave. The dragon's mouth would then release a bronze ball, which would drop into the open mouth of the toad positioned beneath it. The impact of the ball striking the toad produced a distinctive sound, allowing observers to determine which direction the earthquake had come from. This simple yet effective system provided the first recorded instance of earthquake detection without direct human observation. Though Zhang Heng's invention was groundbreaking, its legitimacy was initially questioned. His seismoscope was built, but he passed away 7 years before its first recorded use. Despite his absence, history records a moment of validation for the device. One day, as the emperor and his court were attending to their duties, they noticed that the seismoscope had activated, with one of the dragon heads releasing a bronze ball. At the time, there was no noticeable earthquake felt in the capital, leading to confusion and skepticism about whether the device was functioning correctly. However, several weeks later, a messenger arrived from a remote region, reporting that an earthquake had struck the exact area indicated by Zhang Heng's invention. This event confirmed the effectiveness of the seismoscope, and from that moment forward, it was regarded as a critical tool for early earthquake detection. The implications of Zhang Heng's work were profound. His seismoscope represented an early understanding of seismic wave propagation, a concept that modern scientists would not fully develop until centuries later. By recognizing that earthquakes send vibrations through the ground, Zhang Heng pioneered a system that was capable of detecting these movements over vast distances. His contributions to earthquake monitoring proved that ancient civilizations were not only aware of natural disasters, but actively sought ways to predict and respond to them. Although Zhang Heng's device was highly regarded in ancient China, it was eventually lost to history. The knowledge of its construction and use faded over time, and no surviving original models have been found. However, 20th century archaeological excavations uncovered references to the device, prompting modern scientists to recreate it based on historical descriptions. When the replica was built, researchers discovered that the mechanism functioned remarkably well, demonstrating that Zhang Heng's understanding of seismic activity was incredibly advanced for his time. Modern seismometers, the devices used today to measure the intensity, direction, and duration of earthquakes, operate on principles that mirror those outlined by Zhang Heng's seismoscope. While today's technology relies on electronic sensors and digital analysis, the fundamental idea remains the same: detect ground movements and identify the source of the disturbance. This connection between ancient and modern seismology is a testament to the brilliance of Zhang Heng's invention, and serves as proof that early civilizations possessed a far greater understanding of the natural world than they are often credited for. Zhang Heng was not just an inventor, he was a visionary who understood the importance of practical science. His ability to combine engineering, physics, and innovation allowed him to solve real-world problems that affected the well-being of an entire empire. His seismoscope was more than a scientific achievement. It was a life-saving tool that provided crucial early warnings about natural disasters, allowing authorities to respond more effectively to crises. Even today, as modern seismologists develop increasingly sophisticated earthquake prediction models, Zhang Heng's work remains a source of inspiration. His seismoscope reminds us that human curiosity and ingenuity are timeless qualities, spanning across generations and cultures. The fact that an instrument designed over 2,000 years ago still holds relevance in the study of earthquakes is a testament to how advanced and insightful his work truly was. Zhang Heng's earthquake detector is an example of how ancient civilizations were capable of extraordinary scientific advancements. His work laid the foundation for future generations of earthquake researchers, and while much of his knowledge was forgotten for centuries, its rediscovery in the modern era has allowed us to appreciate his genius once again. The ancient Chinese dynasties were home to some of the most forward-thinking inventors in history, and Zhang Heng stands as one of their greatest minds. The legacy of Zhang Heng's seismoscope continues to influence the scientific world. It proves that brilliant ideas can withstand the test of time, waiting to be rediscovered and recognized for their true significance. In the modern world, where earthquakes remain one of nature's most devastating forces, his work remains a symbol of human ingenuity, resilience, and the unending quest to understand the world around us. The Great Pyramid of Giza's 100-foot-long chamber. Researchers from the Scans Pyramids project recently revealed the discovery of an internal void within the Great Pyramid of Giza, also referred to as the Pyramid of Khufu. This remarkable finding, made possible through the use of tomography, uncovers a previously unknown chamber that stretches over 100 feet in length. Notably, this is the first newly found chamber within the pyramid since the 19th century. Originally, the team's objective was to analyze construction methods and gain insights into the inaccessible internal structures of the pyramid. The Scans Pyramids project, initiated in 2015, is an international endeavor led by Egypt's Ministry of Antiquities. Its primary objective is to employ non-invasive technological methods to gain insights into Egypt's pyramids. The ancient Egyptian pharaoh Khufu constructed the Great Pyramid on the Giza Plateau during the 4th dynasty. This monumental structure is among the oldest and largest on Earth. However, the construction techniques employed in its creation remain a subject of ongoing debate, with no widely agreed upon consensus. Researchers have made an interesting discovery by utilizing 3 different muon detection technologies. The chamber was found, and its existence was confirmed by 3 separate analysis teams. This discovery is particularly significant as it is the first of its kind, despite the presence of documents dating as far back as 2013 at the construction site. Muons, as reported by National Geographic, continuously bombard the Earth, originating from collisions between cosmic rays and the Earth's upper atmosphere. While they are imperceptible to the human eye, scientists have the ability to detect them using films and specialized detectors that track their 3-dimensional trajectories. Muons have a higher permeability in empty space compared to denser materials, thus positioning multiple muon detectors around a structure enables scientists to create a map distinguishing between solid and empty sections of the structure. Muon tomography, despite its capabilities, is incapable of detecting small air shafts. The density analysis of the pyramid structure using muon observation took several months to gather sufficient data. Through analyzing the cross-section and dimensions of the empty space, researchers have determined that it is a significant feature within the pyramid, exhibiting similar muon data patterns as the Grand Gallery. This finding strongly suggests that the void was intentionally left vacant, although the contents, purpose and potential existence of other similar spaces remain uncertain. It is worth noting that the presence of a chamber is remarkable, given that most pyramids consist predominantly of solid rock. According to the article in Nature, the chamber referred to as the Scan Pyramid's Big Void was initially detected using nuclear emulsion films within the Queen's chamber. This observation was later verified by scintillator hodoscopes positioned in the same chamber and further confirmed by gas detectors placed outside the pyramid. Pyramids present a challenge when it comes to exploration due to the diverse construction methods employed by different dynasties. The variations in materials and designs necessitate careful investigation. At present, it remains uncertain if researchers will be granted permission to explore the recently found void, as Egypt has implemented stringent regulations on pyramid exploration due to extensive looting during the 19th and 20th centuries. The Great Pyramid of Giza, one of the most iconic and mysterious structures in the world, is a marvel of ancient architecture. Built during the Old Kingdom of Egypt, this impressive pyramid continues to fascinate researchers and visitors alike. The Great Pyramid, also known as the Pyramid of Khufu or the Pyramid of Cheops, was constructed around 4,500 years ago as a burial monument for Pharaoh Khufu. The pyramid stands on the Giza Plateau near Cairo, Egypt, and was the tallest man-made structure in the world for over 3,800 years. The exact number of stone blocks used to build the Great Pyramid is a subject of debate among scholars. Various estimates have been proposed based on different assumptions and calculations. It is important to note that the pyramid's construction methods and techniques have been the subject of extensive research, but many details remain uncertain. One estimate suggests that the Great Pyramid consists of approximately 2.3 million stone blocks. This figure is derived from the average weight of the individual blocks and the estimated volume of the pyramid. The majority of these blocks are limestone, quarried from nearby sources. Some of the larger blocks used in the pyramid's construction weigh several tons. However, other estimates propose different figures. Some researchers argue that the number of stone blocks may be higher, reaching around 2.5 million or even more. This discrepancy arises due to variations in the size of the blocks, the complexity of the pyramid's internal structure, and the challenges in accurately measuring and counting the blocks. The construction techniques employed by the ancient Egyptians played a crucial role in the building of the pyramid. Although new evidence is being presented about how the pyramids were constructed, as of right now, scientists have said that the blocks were carefully cut and shaped, then transported to the construction site using sledges, ramps, and possibly a system of levers and pulleys. The blocks were then meticulously arranged in a precise pattern, with the outer layers meticulously aligned to create the smooth pyramid shape. While the exact number of stone blocks remains uncertain, what is clear is the immense effort and skill that went into constructing the Great Pyramid. It stands as a testament to the advanced engineering and architectural capabilities of the ancient Egyptians. The precision with which the blocks were cut and positioned, as well as the sheer size and scale of the pyramid, demonstrate the ingenuity and planning involved in its construction. The Great Pyramid continues to captivate the imagination of people worldwide. Its monumental size, mysterious inner chambers, and the intricate construction techniques used are a testament to the ancient Egyptians' engineering prowess. The pyramid serves as a reminder of the remarkable achievements of this ancient civilization and their deep understanding of mathematics, astronomy, and architecture. As of right now, the exact number of stone blocks used in the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza remains a topic of speculation and debate among researchers. Estimates range from around 2.3 million to higher figures, reflecting variations in size, complexity, and measurement methods. Regardless of the precise number, the Great Pyramid stands as a remarkable feat of human engineering and a symbol of ancient Egypt's rich cultural heritage. Its enduring mystery and grandeur continue to inspire awe and admiration, inviting us to explore and appreciate the remarkable achievements of our ancestors. Serapeum of Saqqara. The Serapeum of Saqqara, discovered in 1850, has sparked ongoing speculation and curiosity. Despite numerous theories, there is still no definitive explanation for how and why the 24 massive sarcophagi were transported to the site and meticulously placed in their designated slots. While the prevailing notion proposes that the location served as a burial ground for Apis bulls, there are several aspects that challenge this belief. The dimensions of the boxes are larger than the dimensions of the bulls. Similarly, why was this not done for the pharaohs, who were laid to rest in cramped coffins that barely accommodated their bodies? Additionally, why were the sarcophagi in the Serapeum constructed using granite instead of the easier-to-handle limestone? People who are knowledgeable about the subject often dismiss the idea that the Serapeum was used for ceremonial burials, especially in the Grand Gallery where the large coffins are found. However, if that is not the case, then what purpose did it serve? This is a question that has perplexed Egyptologists, and so far they have not found a credible alternative theory. Since its exploration in 1850, the Serapeum of Saqqara has perplexed archaeologists and scholars, sparking discussions regarding the purpose and significance of the discovered tunnels. This remarkable historical complex houses 24 colossal stone structures, commonly referred to as boxes. These impressive artifacts weigh an astonishing 70 to 100 tons each, and serve as a testament to the advanced knowledge in fields like geometry and mathematics possessed by the ancient Egyptians. A component of the megalithic boxes, the 30-ton covers were constructed from identical stone blocks. Upon their discovery, a few of these lids were opened using gunpowder, revealing that the immense boxes were empty inside. Presently, researchers remain uncertain about the true intention behind these colossal boxes and how they were assembled thousands of years ago. The inquiry that arises from the presence of these containers revolves around whether the ancient Egyptians constructed them as commemorative sepulchres for the Apis bulls. If this was the case, why have no remains been discovered? The Apis bulls held immense reverence in ancient Egyptian culture and were among the earliest sacred cults in their history. It is believed by historians that the Apis bull was considered both a divine entity and a tangible representation of the Egyptian pharaohs. It is worth noting that the majority of these boxes are constructed from rose granite, a highly durable stone extracted from a quarry approximately 800 kilometers away from Saqqara. Additionally, some boxes were crafted from an even more resilient substance called diorite, which was sourced from an even greater distance beyond Saqqara. The remarkable accuracy of the boxes is a noteworthy attribute that has puzzled researchers and visitors alike. The discrepancies are recorded in thousandths of an inch, demonstrating an extraordinary level of precision. This raises a question that persists even after thousands of years. How was such precision achieved? The ancient Egyptians possessed a deep understanding of applied mathematics and geometry long before the construction of the Serapeum of Saqqara, showcasing their remarkable intelligence and capabilities. This fact serves to highlight the extraordinary knowledge and skills of the ancient Egyptians without any doubt or skepticism. The earliest texts on geometry, such as the Rind Papyrus and Moscow Papyrus, provide evidence of ancient knowledge in this field. It is remarkable to consider that even after several centuries, ancient Egyptians could still achieve remarkable precision in constructing corners with a 90-degree angle. The lingering inquiry is, how exactly did the ancient Egyptians acquire this knowledge? Furthermore, where did they obtain the tools utilized in these structures? Lastly, why are these colossal boxes devoid of any contents? Could there be a significant event in ancient history that has been disregarded by mainstream scholars, yet holds the key to comprehending the intelligence and capabilities of ancient civilizations like the Egyptians? The mystery of the crystal skulls. The crystal skulls are fascinating and enigmatic artifacts that have captured the imaginations of people around the world. These skull-shaped objects, carved from various types of crystal, have been the subject of speculation, mystery, and controversy. Crystal skulls are believed to have originated in ancient Mesoamerican civilizations, such as the Aztec, Maya, and Olmec. These skulls were intricately carved from a variety of crystals, including quartz, amethyst, and jade. They were crafted with remarkable precision, displaying intricate details and polished surfaces. One of the most famous crystal skulls is the Mitchell-Hedges skull, named after its discoverer, British adventurer and explorer F.A. Mitchell-Hedges. According to Mitchell-Hedges, he discovered the skull in the ruins of a Mayan city in Belize in the early 20th century. The Mitchell-Hedges skull stands out due to its exceptional craftsmanship and claims of being of ancient origin. Legend and speculation surround the crystal skulls, with some suggesting that they possess mystical powers or are connected to ancient civilizations' wisdom and knowledge. Some proponents believe that the skulls were used for various purposes, including healing, divination, and communication with the spirit world. Others claim that the skulls hold information and secrets about humanity's past, or even advanced origins. Crystal skulls have captivated the globe for numerous years due to their exquisite intricacy, exceptional craftsmanship, and enigmatic symbolism. The fascination originated in the late 1800s, when a collection of 13 crystal skulls gradually emerged in various art and historical communities worldwide. Since then, there has been speculation regarding their origins and purpose, leading to one burning question: do these crystal skulls possess unique abilities? According to those who possess crystal skulls, there is a firm belief in their ability to hold ancient wisdom. Typically constructed from quartz, a mineral widely used in telecommunications and data storage due to its piezoelectric properties, these skulls are thought to be vessels of knowledge that can potentially benefit humanity. The belief stems from the fact that quartz, being one of the few solid materials on Earth capable of converting mechanical energy into electrical energy, can supposedly transfer its accumulated wisdom to more recent sculpted versions of crystal skulls. Crystal skulls have gained popularity among those who believe in their healing abilities. These sacred geometric sculptures, made from various precious stones, are believed to enhance the energy and effectiveness of healing crystals. Many individuals have reported positive outcomes when using crystal skulls to manifest their intentions. They have been used as complementary aids in healing the heart and mind, providing an expedited healing process when combined with traditional treatments. Crystal skulls are well known for their capacity to enhance psychic abilities. Experts in crystallography suggest that the vibrational energy released by these skulls replicates the electromagnetic waves produced by the brain during thought formation, thereby facilitating the acquisition of valuable insights and profound knowledge. Individuals who incorporate crystal skulls into their meditation practices often report heightened clarity in psychic visions and foreknowledge. A recent advancement in this area has introduced the concept of utilizing crystal skulls to amplify interstellar communication endeavors with extraterrestrial civilizations. The origins of these entities are veiled in enigma, adding to their allure. 3 prevailing theories exist. One suggests that they may have originated from past human civilizations, such as the Mayans. Another proposes that they were constructed in now-lost cities like Atlantis or Lemuria. Lastly, a third theory posits that they were not crafted by humans, but rather by beings from other realms. Crystal skulls have been a subject of fascination, particularly in relation to the Mayan civilization. According to ancient beliefs, there were 13 crystal skulls, with 12 being of equal size and containing valuable information from different planets. The remaining skull, significantly larger, served as the central consciousness that united all worlds. When arranged circularly with the 12 smaller skulls, the integration of knowledge was believed to occur, resulting in the profound enlightenment of humanity. These crystal skulls are regarded as potent conduits that facilitate the transmission of wisdom. The 13 crystal skulls were preserved on an ark during the Great Flood, a historical event recognized in specific regions. Following the flood, these skulls were scattered around the world. According to legend, when these 13 skulls are brought together in the future, humanity will gain access to valuable knowledge that can contribute to the creation of a more improved world. The indigenous peoples of America also reference 13 crystal skulls that house the wisdom of various realms and possess the means to unlock human enlightenment. An intriguing detail to highlight is that, in this rendition, the skulls emit melodic sounds. These enchanting and enigmatic tones have the power to mesmerize anyone who hears them, promoting positivity, happiness, and serenity. It remains uncertain as to the exact whereabouts of the skulls, but there has been significant speculation indicating that at least a portion of them may have been discovered. Experts in the field of crystal skulls unanimously acknowledge the inclusion of the Mitchell-Hedges skull among the 13 known specimens. Unearthed by Anna Mitchell-Hedges during her childhood at an archaeological excavation site in Belize in the 1920s, this particular skull is believed to have served as a tool of Mayan shamanism. Consequently, it has earned the name Skull of Doom. Following Mitchell-Hedges' demise, her husband assumed responsibility for the skull's safekeeping. Recently, an additional historical skull known as Baby Louvre has emerged. Discovered by monks, this skull, crafted from rose gold quartz, is believed to have been utilized by ancient Scythians, as well as a more ancient civilization, the Cimmerians. Presently, it is housed and cared for by Joki van Dieten. The British Museum located in London possesses a life-size crystal skull that seems to have been carved from a single substantial chunk of transparent quartz. The museum acquired it from Tiffany & Company in 1897. Prior to this, the skull was owned by a Spanish officer who had served in Mexico before the French occupation took place. In 1992, the Smithsonian Institution received an enigmatic package consisting of a sizable milky white quartz crystal skull. Accompanying the skull was a note indicating that it had been acquired in Mexico during the 1960s. The donation, given anonymously, continues to mystify and remains unsolved. In Europe, museums in Paris showcase smaller and less advanced crystal skulls. The United Nations invited the Mayan Council of Elders in 2012 to address the topic of the Mayan calendar's end on December 12, 2012, which some believed would signify the apocalypse. During their presentation, they discussed the significance of elevating human consciousness as a means of achieving global peace and initiating a fresh start. They emphasized the pivotal role played by crystal skulls in facilitating this transformation. In his discourse, Don Alejandro Chirillo Pérez Oxlage, an esteemed elder, responds to individuals who express apprehension about the symbolism associated with skulls. He asserts that the significance of crystal skulls is not linked to the afterlife, but rather represents the enduring nature of certain elements amidst constant change. Just as the physical appearance of crystal skulls has been preserved over time, so too has the wisdom passed down from one generation to another. Don Alejandro emphasizes the importance of safeguarding our inherited knowledge from the past and utilizing it to improve our future. Don Pedro Pablo Chukpech discussed the significance of discovering inner tranquility. The initial step towards establishing harmony in our external surroundings starts with attaining peace within ourselves. One way to achieve this is through crystal skull meditation, which enables us to delve into deeper levels of understanding and ultimately experience profound serenity. Hunbat's Men, a Mayan day keeper, proposes that it would be beneficial for humanity if each individual possessed their own crystal skull that they could establish a connection with on a regular basis. This practice would serve to awaken their dormant memories and facilitate the accumulation of new ones, enabling them to glean valuable lessons from past errors. The mysterious legend of the crystal skulls has captivated the imaginations of many, leading it to become a prominent element in popular culture. Interestingly, some have suggested that the crystal skulls hold important information about our past, and just recently, a scientist came forward and said that data storage in crystal quartz will change everything. Hitachi has recently introduced a groundbreaking technology in the form of a quartz glass sheet, which has caught the attention of many tech companies. This innovative storage device shows the potential to preserve data for an astonishing 300 million years. Compared to existing storage options like records, CDs, USB sticks, and magnetic tapes, this new technology surpasses them all in terms of capacity and longevity. Its development holds great promise for the future of data storage. While this may sound exciting, there are additional aspects to consider. Currently, Hitachi has a tangible product that they may potentially market once they find an efficient way to transfer data to computers and televisions. However, the initial model they have only offers a data storage capacity slightly higher than that of a CD. Nevertheless, this does not suggest that this technology is destined to fail. It is simply in its early stages of development. Furthermore, there are already individuals working on a larger and improved version. Scientists at the University of Southampton in the United Kingdom have made significant progress in the advancement of a remarkable technological innovation. The concept of ancient crystal skulls and the belief that they possess a treasury of knowledge is widely known. Throughout history, there have been claims that these crystal skulls hold ancient wisdom, potentially originating from the era of Atlantis or beyond. Heat anomaly found in the Great Pyramid. Egyptian officials in charge of antiquities have reported that a group of architects and scientists from different countries have discovered thermal anomalies within the pyramids of Giza. Thermal imaging cameras have identified elevated temperatures in 3 neighboring stones located at the base of the Great Pyramid. According to experts, potential factors contributing to this phenomenon include vacant spaces within the pyramid, airflow within the structure, or variations in construction materials. Experts are currently conducting a search for concealed chambers inside the pyramids. The burial sites of the Egyptian rulers Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure were constructed during the 4th dynasty. Different materials, such as air and rock, have varying abilities to retain heat. These variations in heat retention, known as thermal anomalies, can potentially indicate the presence of empty spaces beneath the surface. This could suggest the existence of cracks, cavities in the rock, or perhaps even hidden passages or tombs, which is quite intriguing. According to Antiquities Minister Mamdouh El-Damati, thermal scanning showed numerous temperature variations throughout the pyramids. However, a remarkable anomaly was discovered at ground level on the eastern side of the Khufu pyramid. The anomaly stood out among the temperature changes detected. El-Damati mentioned the presence of a narrow pathway on the ground leading towards the base of the pyramid, which eventually leads to an area with a distinct temperature. This raises curiosity about what lies beyond this pathway. Even though each individual block comprising the pyramids exhibits slight variations in temperature, the researchers were able to identify and study multiple consistent irregularities by closely monitoring the rate of heating and cooling. Despite the temperature variation typically ranging from 0.1 to 0.5 degrees Celsius among neighboring limestone blocks, the Great Pyramid exhibited a remarkable anomaly. It was observed to be 6 degrees warmer than the surrounding bricks, as evident from the provided thermal scans. The study, known as Operation Scan Pyramids, will extend until the conclusion of 2016, and thermal scanning marks the initial phase of the project. The researchers have future plans to employ infrared technology for the purpose of surveying the 3 pyramids. Additionally, they aim to utilize radiographic muons, a type of cosmic particle, along with 3D reconstruction techniques, in an attempt to map and reveal the hidden mysteries residing within the pyramids. Egyptologists are anticipating that their findings will provide further insights into the ancient structures and the individuals responsible for constructing them approximately 4,500 years ago. According to Egyptologist Beth Ann Judas, this anomaly has the potential to provide further insights into the construction methods employed by the Egyptians of the 4th dynasty. The ongoing discoveries in recent years have already deepened our understanding of the laborers and officials associated with the pyramids, and this particular finding adds to our knowledge in that regard. The Great Pyramid of Giza is one of the most iconic and enigmatic structures in the world. Built over 4,500 years ago, it has fascinated archaeologists, historians, and explorers for centuries. While much has been discovered about the pyramid's interior, there are still unexplored areas and voids that continue to intrigue and spark speculation. The Great Pyramid is known for its complex internal structure, consisting of various chambers and passages. The main chambers include the King's Chamber, the Queen's Chamber, and the Grand Gallery. These chambers have been extensively explored and studied, shedding light on the pyramid's construction techniques and religious significance. However, recent advancements in technology, such as ground-penetrating radar and thermal imaging, have revealed intriguing anomalies within the pyramid. In 2017, the Scan Pyramids project used muon radiography to detect a previously unknown void above the Grand Gallery. This void, dubbed the Big Void, has sparked intense interest and speculation about its purpose and significance. The exact nature of the Big Void remains a subject of debate. Some theories propose that it could be a hidden chamber or an architectural feature intended to reduce the weight of the structure. Others suggest that it could have served a ceremonial or symbolic purpose. However, without further exploration, the true nature of the Big Void remains a mystery. In addition to the Big Void, there are other unexplored areas within the Great Pyramid. For instance, there are narrow shafts within the pyramid's structure, known as the Queen's Chamber shafts and the King's Chamber shafts. These shafts have been the subject of much speculation, with theories ranging from ventilation systems to symbolic passageways. Despite previous exploration attempts, the full extent and purpose of these shafts are still not fully understood. The challenges of exploring these unexplored areas and voids are significant. The pyramid's internal structure is complex, and accessing these areas without causing damage requires careful planning and advanced technologies. Preservation and conservation efforts also need to be taken into consideration, as any exploration should not compromise the integrity of the pyramid. Furthermore, ethical considerations come into play. The Great Pyramid of Giza holds immense historical and cultural significance, and any exploration must be conducted responsibly and in collaboration with the relevant authorities and experts. It is essential to balance the pursuit of knowledge with the preservation of this ancient monument. Exploring the uncharted areas and voids of the Great Pyramid could potentially yield significant insights into ancient Egyptian civilization, their architectural techniques, and the purpose of these hidden spaces. It could shed light on the beliefs, rituals, and cultural practices of the time. Additionally, it may provide valuable information about the construction methods employed and the engineering prowess of the ancient Egyptians. As of right now, scientists and archaeologists have said that the unexplored areas and voids within the Great Pyramid of Giza continue to captivate the imagination and curiosity of researchers and enthusiasts. The recent discoveries of the Big Void and the ongoing mystery surrounding the shafts within the pyramid highlight the ongoing quest for knowledge about this ancient wonder. The exploration of these uncharted spaces poses both technical and ethical challenges, but with careful planning and collaboration, it holds the potential to unlock new insights into ancient Egyptian civilization and the secrets of the pyramid's construction. It is through responsible exploration and preservation that we can continue to unravel the mysteries of the Great Pyramid of Giza and gain a deeper understanding of our shared human history. The Great Pyramids of Giza, built by the ancient Egyptians over 4,500 years ago, continue to astound and amaze us with their remarkable precision and engineering prowess. These architectural wonders stand as a testament to the advanced knowledge and skills possessed by the ancient Egyptians. One of the key factors that contributed to the precision of the Great Pyramids was the Egyptians' deep understanding of mathematics and geometry. They had a sophisticated system of mathematics that allowed them to perform complex calculations and measurements. The ancient Egyptians were adept at using basic tools such as ropes, plumb lines, and levels to achieve remarkable accuracy in their constructions. The precise alignment of the pyramids with the cardinal points of the compass is a testament to their knowledge of astronomy and the use of astronomical observations. The Egyptians carefully observed the movement of the sun, moon, and stars, and their astronomical knowledge played a significant role in aligning the pyramids with celestial bodies. This alignment not only had religious and symbolic significance, but also helped ensure the precise orientation of the structures. Additionally, the ancient Egyptians employed a system of measurements that allowed them to achieve consistent and accurate dimensions in their constructions. They used the cubit, a unit of measurement based on the length of the forearm, to standardize their measurements. The cubit was divided into smaller units, such as the palm and the digit, which allowed for precise calculations and proportional relationships in their architectural designs. The Egyptians also utilized sophisticated surveying techniques to ensure the precise leveling and alignment of the pyramid's base. Some researchers have suggested that they employed a method known as the rope stretchers technique, where surveyors used ropes and sighting poles to establish straight lines and right angles. This technique allowed them to create a level and symmetrical foundation for the pyramids. However, many scholars have said that the exact technique of construction remains a mystery. Furthermore, the Egyptians displayed remarkable organizational skills and coordination in their construction projects. The construction of the pyramids involved a massive workforce, including skilled architects, engineers, and laborers. The project required careful planning and coordination to ensure the smooth execution of various tasks. The precise organization of the labor force and the clear division of responsibilities contributed to the overall precision of the construction. The use of ramps and ingenious engineering techniques also played a crucial role in achieving the precision of the pyramids. The Egyptians built enormous ramps to transport heavy stone blocks to higher levels during construction. They employed a system of levers and pulleys to lift and position the stones accurately. The ability to manipulate and control these massive stone blocks with such precision demonstrates the Egyptians' engineering ingenuity. It is worth noting that the construction of the pyramids was not a single event, but rather a culmination of architectural knowledge and experience gained over generations. The Egyptians continuously refined their techniques and learned from previous constructions, resulting in increasingly precise and sophisticated structures. No burial chambers found inside the step pyramid of Edfu. Archaeologists conducting research in the vicinity of the historic town of Edfu, located in southern Egypt, have recently discovered a stepped pyramid that can be traced back approximately 4,600 years. This makes it older than the renowned Great Pyramid of Giza by at least a few decades. The step pyramid, originally reaching a height of 43 feet or 13 meters, is among 7 provincial pyramids constructed by either Pharaoh Huni or Snefru. Over the years, the stone blocks of the step pyramid were plundered, and the structure has suffered from weathering, resulting in its current height of approximately 16 feet. Scattered throughout central and southern Egypt, the provincial pyramids are located near major settlements, have no internal chambers, and were not intended for burial. 6 of the 7 pyramids have almost identical dimensions, including the newly uncovered one at Edfu, which is about 60 by 61 feet. The reason behind the existence of these 7 pyramids remains unknown, sparking curiosity among scholars. These structures could have potentially served as symbolic landmarks that honored the royal cult, emphasizing the king's authority in the regions situated to the south. Gregory Marouard, a research associate at the Oriental Institute of the University of Chicago, who spearheaded the excavation at the Edfu pyramid, expressed astonishment at the remarkable similarities between different pyramids. He noted that there is undoubtedly a shared blueprint among them. On the eastern side of the recently revealed pyramid, Marouard's team discovered remnants of a structure believed to have been used for making food offerings. This finding is significant in unraveling the purpose of such pyramids, as it offers insight into their functions. The research team also discovered ancient writings carved into the exterior surfaces of the pyramid. These inscriptions were discovered alongside burial sites near the base of the pyramid. The scholars believe that the inscriptions and burials occurred long after the construction of the pyramid, and that the original purpose of the structure was not for burial. The Society for the Study of Egyptian Antiquities recently organized a symposium in Toronto where the preliminary findings of the excavation were shared. In the study, it was mentioned by Marwar that although the pyramid at Edfu was known by scholars, it had never undergone excavation until his team initiated the work in 2010. The team discovered that the pyramid was concealed beneath a considerable amount of sand, modern debris, and remnants from the looting of its blocks. During the initial observation, it was not immediately recognizable as a pyramid, as stated by the individual. In fact, some residents from a neighboring village speculated that the structure might be the final resting place of a sheikh, a revered figure. However, as the team began the process of clearing the monument, the true nature of the ancient pyramid became apparent. The remarkable transformation is captured in the accompanying photographs, showcasing one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Built of sandstone blocks and clay mortar, it had been constructed in the form of a 3-step pyramid. A core of blocks rises up vertically, with 2 layers of blocks beside it, on top of each other. This made the pyramid look like it had 3 steps. The style is similar to that of a step pyramid built by Djoser, the pharaoh who constructed Egypt's first pyramid at the beginning of the 3rd ancient Egyptian dynasty. The technique is close to that used at the Meidum pyramid, which was built by either Snefru or Huni, and started out as a step pyramid before being turned into a true pyramid. According to Marward's study, the construction of the pyramid demonstrates a meticulous attention to detail and a high level of skill in working with stone, particularly when it came to aligning the larger blocks. Marward also mentioned that the pyramid was built directly on the natural rock foundation and utilized local materials throughout the entire construction process. In 2011, a quarry containing the sandstone used for the pyramid was discovered, located just 800 meters north of the pyramid itself. The expansion of a contemporary burial ground and community presents a threat to the recently revealed pyramid. To mitigate the risk of additional theft, a barrier has been erected around the monument, with support from the American Research Center in Egypt and the National Endowment for the Humanities providing financial aid. While excavating the pyramid, the team made an intriguing discovery. Intricate carvings adorned the outer sides. These carvings depict various symbols, such as a book scroll, a seated figure, a quadruped creature, a plant leaf, and a bird, all rendered in hieroglyphic form. Marwar explained that inscriptions found near the pyramid's base are predominantly personal and hastily made. Marwar mentioned that his team plans to release further information regarding these burials and accompanying images at a later time. The researchers discovered that around the period of Khufu's rule, the pyramid in Edfu had already been deserted and people had stopped making offerings. This happened within just 5 decades of its construction. It's not known why Imhotep decided to change the shape of the pyramid. The pyramids, which are well-known structures from ancient Egypt, continue to captivate people today. These impressive monuments, built in honor of Egyptian kings, have become symbolic of the country, even though other civilizations like the Chinese and Mayans also constructed pyramids. The origins and development of the pyramid design have been the subject of extensive discussion and analysis over the years. However, it is undeniable that in the context of Egypt, this architectural form began with the step pyramid of Djoser in Saqqara, created by a talented architect. The step pyramid has undergone extensive examination and research in the past century, revealing a complex construction process with several stages and a few initial setbacks. Imhotep initially began constructing a straightforward mastaba tomb, with the tallest mastaba reaching a height of 20 feet. However, Imhotep later chose to increase the height. Investigations have indicated that the pyramid initially took the form of a square mastaba, deviating from the typical rectangular shape before being altered to its final rectangular form. The reasoning behind Imhotep's decision to deviate from the traditional rectangular mastaba shape remains uncertain, but it is possible that he had envisioned a pyramid with a square base from the beginning. The initial mastabas were adorned with inscriptions and engravings depicting reeds, and Imhotep aimed to uphold this tradition. His grand mastaba pyramid would incorporate similar intricate details and symbolic significance as the earlier, smaller tombs. However, the difference was that these features would be carved from stone rather than made from dried mud. Historian Mark van der Meeroop discusses this. Imhotep utilized stone to replicate previous structures that were initially built using different materials. The outer wall of the enclosure featured niches resembling those found in mud brick tombs, while the columns imitated bundles of reed and papyrus. Additionally, stone cylinders strategically placed at the doorways represented rolled-up reed screens. The construction of the central pyramid within the complex involved extensive experimentation, evident in its evolution from several mastaba-like plans to the first-ever step pyramid. This monumental structure comprised of 6 stacked levels, and the builders faced the challenge of supporting its immense weight. To prevent the monument from crumbling, the stones were placed at an inward incline. When completed, the step pyramid rose 204 feet high and was the tallest structure of its time. The surrounding complex included a temple, courtyards, shrines, and living quarters for the priests, covering an area of 40 acres, and surrounded by a wall 30 feet high. The wall had 13 false doors cut into it, with only one true entrance cut in the southeast corner. The entire wall was then ringed by a trench 2,400 feet long and 130 feet wide. The false doors and the trench were incorporated into the complex to discourage unwanted guests. If one wished to visit the inner courtyard and temples, one would have needed to have been told how to enter. The pyramid and its surrounding complex was designed to be stunning and inspire awe. Djoser was so proud of his accomplishment that he broke precedent of having only his own name on a monument and had Imhotep's name carved as well. The complex consists of the Step Pyramid, the House of the North, the House of the South, the Serdab, the Heb-Sed Court, the South Tomb, Temple T, and the Northern Mortuary Temple. All of these, with the surrounding wall, made up a complex the size of a city in ancient Egypt. Djoser's complex, in fact, was larger than the city of Hierakonpolis at the time. The purpose of the House of the North and House of the South is unknown, but it has been speculated they represented Upper and Lower Egypt. The Serdab is a limestone box near the northern entrance of the pyramid where a life-sized statue of Djoser was found. This statue would have been of great importance to the soul of the king in the afterlife. The ancient Egyptians believed that the soul comprised 9 aspects, with one of them being the Ba, a bird-shaped representation commonly depicted on tomb engravings. It was believed that the Ba had the ability to freely travel between the earthly realm and the heavens. However, in order to navigate its way back to its owner's home on earth, the Ba required a recognizable landmark, typically the pyramid with the king's likeness in front of it. By spotting this landmark from high above, the Ba could descend, enter the earthly plane, and visit its former home. The significance of Pharaoh's names and images in this belief system lies in the fact that the soul needed to be able to identify and recall its former physical body on earth in order to rest peacefully in the afterlife. In addition to serving this purpose, the statue of Djoser, the oldest known life-sized Egyptian statue still in existence, was also built at the complex to serve as a reminder of the great king's legacy.